And good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 for Wednesday, January the 4th, 2023. I'm going to begin here on the daily chart with the S&P, basically to show that all of this entanglement that we've been going through for the past, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days has kind of like gotten into this little tiny cluster. And a lot of questions when you're in there trading it as a day trader, even as a swing trader, or however you want to trade it, watching these moves and all of this stuff. And it's like, oh, well, why are they getting bullish on this or bearish on that? And what's going on? And then you come out and you look at the daily chart and you're like, oh, basically nothing. We're kind of holding. Today was basically an inside day to yesterday, with some upside, with some recovery. But one thing that I did notice today, yesterday it seemed to be Apple and Tesla's turn to find a lot of institutional traders or just regular traders or whoever they are exiting those positions en masse. As we saw the stocks get hit pretty hard. Today, we saw them bounce. Doesn't mean they're out of the woods. Doesn't mean that we don't get another turn and they'll start selling again tomorrow. But what then happened, and what I did notice, for whatever reason, Microsoft got pounded today. At one point, it was down, I think, $13 or $14, ended up down about $10.50. It was interesting because it's like, and then also Honeywell, which is a part of the NASDAQ and also part of the S&P, got downgraded by United Bank of Switzerland. And not just downgraded, they got downgraded to a sell from a buy. And I'm like, wow, okay. So if we're going to start to see that possibly from a lot of analysts at the big banks, it's going to make for a very interesting market. And it's going to make it very interesting to see what's actually going to come out. So in any case, what is going on truly has not changed. So again, back here on the daily, I am still believing and feeling that we're still within a primary C wave down. My alternate count would suggest that we're inside the primary B wave with still some additional rally to come, but that has not moved off of the center mark as to how it's progressing. So we're in a very interesting situation that we're just on pause here. And we've been on pause since last year. We saw a lot of downdrafts, then we saw an updraft, downdraft, updraft, downdraft, et cetera, et cetera. So each day we're not really gaining any ground on what we should be doing a little bit longer term. So in other words, like our long-term counts remain in place without changes. And it's not making the day-to-day analysis any different. So how am I then dealing with that? As a day trader, it's going to be a lot easier than being a position trader, trying to decide what you want to do as a position, because most of the time as a swing trader, you're trying to capture a move. So a lot of that is directional. And right now, we've not really been directional past a day. Like one day the direction's down, the next day the direction was up, the next day might be down. So we're in this state of what I would call a little bit of confusion. Now, I'm going to drop this down. So again, I believe we're in the primary C wave down. That's my preferred count. Within that, again, just referring to it, primary wave C will consist of 5 waves of intermediate degree, which I label in the yellow, with the color yellow, and they're numbered. The corrective is on a primary degree, and that's an ABC. We're in this primary C, and those are labeled in green. So the C is not there yet because we've not reached that level. So within primary wave C, we have completed intermediate waves 1 and 2. And we're still coming down. Now, I did make one switch, and that was moving. I'm going to go down quickly to the 1 hour so that this is all going to make sense when we're looking at it. We had that low on the 22nd of December at 37.88. That is where I am putting the bottom for minor wave 1. So everything after that has been in a minor wave 2. What is minor wave 2 actually forming? And this is where it starts to get a little bit confusing. And again, I start to go up because this is an A, this is a B, this is a C, this is a D, this is an E, and now are we going to start coming off? Could, right? But that makes this a triangle. A triangle of what? So I go back out to the 4-hour chart. We pull that open a little bit, because what we might need to do here is to take a look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or this is all 3. So we got a 1 and a 2. And then this all breaks down to internal 3, internal 4, internal 5 for a minute wave 3. And we're in a minute wave 4 triangle. And it's just a whole series of flats right now. We're not really getting very far on anything. But you can see that the other choice that I have, if I'm going to leave this as a minor wave 1, and we're within minor wave 2, I'm going to go back down to that hourly. Because again, we got a bunch of 3s. And what could else be going on here? 1, A, B, C, X, A, B, C. But we still got a little bit going on in here. But this is dragging on. And normally what it's telling you when you're going to get into a more complex double ABC to a triple ABC, right? So if a double ABC, it could be ABC A, ABC B, or ABC X, A, B, and this is the C wave, as confusing as that can be. So we got to let the market figure it out. That's going to help us figure it out. But what I'm going to consider the whole thing is I still am very satisfied not trying to figure out how this could be maybe 3rd and this is a 4, because in my opinion still, if this is wave 2 up here and this is wave 4, it just does not fit. This is elongated. This is much bigger and taking way too long. But as a wave 2, yes, I'm expecting it to kind of build a little bit and go back and forth. But in a second wave, being that it's already an ABC structure, you can get the ABC X ABC, a double. And maybe I think that's really what's kind of coming in here, is a double. Now, a lot of people saying, you know what, you change your mind every day. It's like, well, so does the market at the moment. And I'm not really changing what the overall count is. Minor 1, minor 2. I'm just looking for minor 2 to complete. And so it's the internal. And each day the market gives me a bit more information. And that is where I'm feeling, okay, we can start to work with that. Again, putting the 1 there, that's a 3-wave structure up, I can call it A. That's a 3-wave structure down, I can call it B. And then I should still have a 5-wave structure to call wave C. But it's not really fitting in. So if I said, okay, ABC, ABCX, ABC, ABCX, ABC. So we still have this potential for an additional rally back up towards 39, because remember, 3,900 is really providing pretty much of a barrier to any rally attempts. And I think that's going to remain the case. We may spike above it real quick, but I don't think it's going to hold. We're not going to spike above it as if we're now starting to build on a larger rally phase. That I don't see, simply because of how it's all starting. We've now spent from December the 22nd until January the 4th going sideways. We've been range bound. 37.88 on the bottom and 39.08, I believe it is, on the top. 906. So it's range bound. In fact, we can even tighten that range from 3,900 basically down to here to 38.05, we'll call it. So range bound, working through a long series of ABCs. Right now, it's kind of looking like it might be turning into a triple ABC. So we should be getting very close to a completion, and it will complete to the upside. Now, whether it breaks above that 39.0786, whatever that high was, yet to be seen. But I'm not looking for something to go breaking above there with strength as if that's it. We're going. I'm really not. That doesn't mean it can't happen, by the way. But it's not something that I would be expecting. So the surprise would be if it's kind of suddenly just starts rallying and doesn't stop and pushes past 39.50 and keeps on going, as if it's going to head to 4,000. There are those out there that are calling for that. And that might just be the ticket. I don't know. From what I'm reading in the wave pattern and just the way the market's been trading, I would not be looking for that. Because I think if it got there, it's going to be fueled by short covering. So, and we know strange things can happen when you got to cover shorts or you got to adjust a position as you're moving towards an expiration, which happens now every day in the S&P and the SPX and the ES and the NDX and the NASDAQ. Also, we have weeklies in all of the other component companies. They all have weekly expirations, et cetera, et cetera. So we got a lot that really can push a market around. And we're just as happy as can be to sit right here in a range. So I'm still looking for the completion of minor wave 2. In fact, I'm going to move it over here. And I'm going to bring it down because I think, what do we have? We had 39.37. I'm going to leave it right there for right now. And I believe we still have one more cycle up to do in the form of a C wave. Today was crazy. We went head down like, okay, this was a 5 down. This was the 2. We're heading off the cliff. Somebody put on the brakes and they rallied and went up to the session highs. So it's that crazy. But here we have a couple of things. Again, what I can put up one more time is the retracements for a minor wave 2. And that's, again, oh, come on, go right there. We basically play around on our top side at that 0.236, which is 38.80, I believe we'll call it. Excuse me. But we still have the potential to get up at least equal that, 39.06, 07, and we have 39.37 sitting here up at the top of the 382. So it could spike real quick, and then and that would be it, hopefully. Now, what we're also noticing is that our moving averages, let me just try to get this open a little bit more so we can see this. Look at our moving averages. Yes, the 20, the 50 is now reacting because they got this push, got that push. But the 200, flat, flat, flat. So it gets very, very interesting. Here's your 8, here's your 4. They're up here and they're going to they will follow the waves. Here we go. They will follow what we're doing. And they hook and they go down. And then they don't, and they hook to go up, and then we'll go up. But it's these larger, the 20, the 50, the 200, basically, still. If the 20 can get up and cross that 200, it should give it a boost. Maybe that'll get us to spike and be done with the whole thing. Otherwise, again, every time we get started to the downside, it seems to stop and they end up buying it all back. We get started to the downside, they seem to stop and they buy it all back. So eventually that will stop because the pattern itself will complete and start to dictate what really should be going on as we tip over and fall outside. I don't really need those there. I don't want to load those apps. That's something new from Zoom, by the way, and they're putting it there and I don't want it there. Maybe I can take care of it right here. Close the dock. There you go. So I don't think there's anything to add in terms of this 200 saying, man, I'm not getting too excited about anything. We start to go up, it stays flat. It shows a little bit of a perk, then we go back down, it gets flat. With a little bit of a downslope, now it's just super flat. I think it stays that way until we complete, and then we enter into that third wave, and then everything will catch up with itself as we begin to drop. So that is my forecast, and my count remains the same. There's no changes there. Let's go over and take a peek at the the NASDAQ, which actually still also is kind of doing the same thing. Now, here, all right, come on. The NASDAQ, I did move that minor wave 1 to the 28th of December. So it's in a little bit different of a pattern. Still corrective, still a minor wave 2. But possibly what we got going on is an ABC, ABCX, AB, and a C. So this is maybe just a double, whereas the S&P is doing a triple. So there are going to be those times. Yes, they're both in the corrective and they're both a minor wave 2, but the patterns internally are very different because the S&P minor wave 1 ended here on the 22nd, and this wave did not go to a new low because this one took us higher. This one came down, but it did not go to a new low in the S&P, whereas the NASDAQ, it did. So that threw me off, and I'm not sure about anybody else, I can only speak for myself. That did throw me off, like, what is going on? And we went through a lot of different iterations, but I'm finding that I think this is the one that's probably going to work for us by moving out this, again, this minor wave 1, which I had here, and I just moved the minute 3 down to here, put the 4 there, and the minute 5 down to here. It fits, it was clean, different in the S&P, but now both markets are seemingly on track to put in the finishing moves for this minor wave 2. So I'm going to put the same thing back up here, and that is our fibs for that minor 2. Okay, well. All right, let's try that again. There, it did do it. Okay. So we again have that bare bones minimum at 0.236 at 11,127. We went up there on Monday. We went up there on Tuesday, yesterday morning. And on Wednesday, we really put an inside day in, inside the yesterdays. So again, you can see it's pretty much the same pattern when we look at the internals there. Pretty much the same in both today. Let's go down. It's the end of the world. Oh no, let's go back up and go to new highs for session highs because we're back. We're back. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. So again, let the market figure it out. As I was talking before, yesterday it was Tesla and Tesla and Apple getting pummeled. And that really forced our downside. Bang. And then what did they do? They spent the rest of the day buying it back up, and then the rest of the afternoon and Globex session taking it up. So let the market do what the market wants to do. Put out whatever they need to put out, make the adjustments, move the money around where it needs to be moved around. That is all happening within a corrective wave 2. which sets us up for we should get that minor wave 3 of intermediate wave 3. And again, if you study and you work with Elliott wave long enough, you know that that third wave is going to be a butt kicker. It will move and it's going to go fast. And it's like what I would call they sell, because this one's down. They sell with a purpose. Whatever they're doing, it will come at you as a purpose. Like in Microsoft today, they were selling with a purpose. Somebody was switching out. Somebody was doing whatever they were doing. They had a purpose behind why they were moving in to sell the stock. Well, whether that lasts through tomorrow, who knows? Right? Okay, so taking a look at our moving averages here, same deal. We're being held now below the 200. The 50 is as flat as a pancake. The 20 is pretty flat. And the 4 and the 8 are just kind of waffling around going with the flow. So I would suspect that we're very likely going to get a C wave up. That would be my take. This is very confusing. Not necessarily the hardest thing to trade, but confusing when you're looking to say, what was that? What was all of this? Except just bebopping around and driving everybody crazy. If you're a swing trader, you catch that swing, you are a hero. But this did not go down easily. And went down, came up, went down, came up, went down, came up, 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 up. So the follow through was not present in a lot of situations. So I think we're still within this minor wave 2, and I'm looking forward that we have resistance at 11,127. Again, we have it up at this high at 11,173. 11,200 should be pretty strong. Ultimately, if it wants to get up to that 0.382, not sure what's going to boost it to get itself there, but we have 11,360 on top side. Now, we could try to run some fibs from here to here and then put extensions if we wanted to see something there. And I'll do it just because they're the points, and you can, even if you just because you're using Fibonacci to work your stuff. And I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to put it down to here. And so we got it again, 11,134, 11,168, 11,260. So that's all way before all this. So we're just putting a little bit of extra connection in there. We should find some plenty of resistance before we even break here. And a spike through this last level and that high might be enough to get us to 11,260, and then we call it a day and put a minor 2 up there and then let it drop. That's kind of the picture that I'm looking at right now. Nothing has changed in terms of my count, other than I believe it's still in process. So this is where I'm going to leave it for today. Now, tomorrow we have some additional numbers. On Thursday, we have the ADP employment report that comes out at 8:15. Then we have international trade in goods and jobless claims at 8:30 Eastern. Now, those international trade in goods and jobless claims are read on an account of day calendar, which means they are market movers. It happens pre-market. It may set our tone. It's going to be strange because we're looking for the completion and the start of the next swing lower. We might get it. Then on Friday, we get the employment situation. Now, remember, the employment situation, I'm not expecting it to be showing that we have a huge uptick in unemployed. I think there are a lot of jobs out there and people are getting them. People are going back to work. A lot of people that were laid off in the tech industries are finding jobs. So the employment situation may not really fall in line with the expectations that the Fed has on the employment situation, on unemployment. Everybody going back to work. I'm blessed because they can find the work, they can earn the money, they can support themselves and their families, they can return to life, but it's inflationary. Stimulus from the government that we've just seen so they can fund themselves is inflationary. So what I want to make sure that we understand is that the fight for inflation, the Fed's going to say, oh, we're trying, we're working, we're diligent, we're not going to give up, we're going to get down to our 2% target. Not sure what date they want to put on that. Oh yeah, but we're seeing a little bit. Look at the crude prices came down today. That was all pretty good. That's all, it's all kind of going to be blending in. It's like, it's hearsay. Because at the other side of their conversation, they know what's happening is inflationary. But if they were to tell us all that, to tell the truth, nobody would come in to do anything that they want to do in the market. So consider the source and consider what's going on. Also on Friday, by the way, we have factory orders and ISM services. We had ISM manufacturing today, and on Friday we have ISM services index also at 10 a.m. So tomorrow, ADP employment at 8:15 Eastern, international trade in goods and services 8:30, jobless claims 8:30, and then EIA, the oil, petroleum report comes out at 11, and that's because Monday was a holiday. All right, I am going to conclude there. Our next update will be on Thursday, January the 5th.